Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant and watched the stars through the massive viewport. His ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 months now, searching for new worlds that humans could call home. The Defiant was humanity's first real attempt at exploring beyond their own solar system, and Jake felt the weight of that responsibility on his shoulders every single day. "Commander," Lisa Hart walked up to him with a tablet in her hands. She was the ship's science officer and had been monitoring their long-range sensors all morning. Her face showed excitement mixed with concern, which Jake had learned to recognize as a sign that something important was happening. "Captain, we're picking up some unusual readings from the Kepler 442 system," Lisa said as she handed him the tablet. "The energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. They're definitely artificial, but the technology seems far more advanced than anything we've developed." Jake studied the readings carefully. The energy patterns were unlike anything he had ever seen before. They seemed to pulse with a rhythm that almost felt alive. He had commanded ships for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment when humanity might finally meet another intelligent species. "How far out are we from the source?" Jake asked while continuing to examine the data. "About 6 hours at current speed," Lisa replied. "But sir, I think we should be very careful about how we approach this. The power levels we're detecting suggest they could destroy us without much effort." Jake nodded and activated the ship's communication system. He needed to contact Admiral Paul Crawford back on Earth immediately. This was too important for him to handle alone, and Earth needed to know that humanity was about to make first contact with alien life, the quantum communication. Link took several minutes to establish, but eventually Admiral Crawford's face appeared on the main screen. He was sitting in his office at the Global Defense Committee headquarters, and Jake could see other officials moving around in the background. "Admiral, we've detected what appears to be alien technology in the Kepler 442 system," Jake reported. "The energy signatures suggest they're far more advanced than we are. I'm requesting permission to make contact." Admiral Crawford leaned forward in his chair. His weathered face showed the same mixture of excitement and concern that Jake had seen in Lisa's expression. "Captain, this is the moment we've been preparing for. Proceed with extreme caution, but make contact. Humanity needs to know what's out there." Jake ended the communication and turned to his crew. The bridge had gone completely silent as everyone realized what was about to happen. They were about to meet beings from another world, and nobody knew what that would mean for the future of humanity. "Set course for the energy source," Jake ordered. "Reduce speed to 1/4 impulse as we approach. I want all sensors active, and all defensive systems ready, but do not power weapons unless I give the order." The Defiant moved slowly through space toward the unknown contact. As they got closer, the ship's sensors began to pick up more detailed information. The aliens had 5 large vessels arranged in a defensive formation around what appeared to be a space station. Their ships were beautiful in a way that human technology had never achieved, with smooth curves and a blue metallic surface that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. "Captain, they're scanning us," reported Lieutenant Danny Parker from the tactical station. "The scans are incredibly detailed. They're learning everything about our ship's construction and capabilities." Before Jake could respond, the ship's communication system activated on its own. A new voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect English with a slight melodic accent that sounded almost musical. "Human vessel, you are in Zephyrian space. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Council. Your species has been under observation for some time. We require immediate discussion with your commanding officer." Jake felt his heart racing as he realized that not only did aliens exist, but they had been watching humanity without being detected. He walked to the center of the bridge and activated the communication system. "Ambassador Veltar, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiant. On behalf of humanity, I greet you and your people. We come in peace and hope to establish friendly relations." The alien's response came quickly. "Captain Morrison, your intentions may be peaceful, but your species has developed technology that concerns the galactic community. We have monitored your recent breakthroughs in quantum fold travel and military applications. This meeting is not a greeting, but a warning. Jake exchanged glances with Lisa, who was recording everything for later analysis. The situation was already more complicated than anyone on Earth had imagined. What kind of warning? Jake asked. Your species must cease all military shipbuilding immediately and submit to galactic oversight. Your technological advancement has proceeded too rapidly and without proper guidance. If you refuse, the consequences will be severe. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. Humanity had worked for centuries to reach the stars, and now they were being told they couldn't defend themselves. Ambassador, with respect, humanity has the right to defend itself. We won't submit to foreign control. Then you will learn why that is impossible, Veltar replied coldly. Suddenly, the Defiance weapon systems went completely offline. Every defensive measure they had developed was disabled in seconds by a single energy pulse from the nearest alien ship. The demonstration was effortless and terrifying. This is what happens when children play with weapons they don't understand, Veltar continued. The Galactic Council will be watching humanity very closely. Choose your next actions wisely. The alien ships disappeared in flashes of blue light, leaving the Defiant alone in space with dead weapons and a message that would change everything for humanity. 5 years had passed since Captain Jake Morrison first met Ambassador Veltar and received the galaxy's ultimatum. The encounter had shaken humanity to its core, but it had also awakened something that the aliens had not expected. Instead of submitting to galactic control, humans had chosen to fight back in the most ambitious way possible. Director Sam Turner stood in the observation deck of Luna Station and watched thousands of workers moving around the massive construction site. The project they were building was so large that it could be seen from Earth with a simple telescope. Yet somehow the galaxy remained unaware of what humanity was creating. The ship hanging in the construction bay was unlike anything that had ever been built before. The Leviathan project had consumed nearly 30% of Earth's entire industrial capacity. Every major corporation, every government, and every scientist had contributed to this single goal. The ship was humanity's answer to the galaxy's threat, and it represented the greatest technological achievement in human history. Chief Engineer Amy Foster climbed down from the ship's hull where she had been inspecting the final armor plating. Her team of 10,000 specialists had been working around the clock for 3 years to complete the vessel. The construction had pushed human technology beyond anything they thought possible, and the results were extraordinary. Director Turner, we're ready for the final systems test, Amy reported as she approached the observation deck. The metamaterial hull is responding perfectly to energy distribution tests. When enemy fire hits any part of the ship, the entire hull absorbs and redirects the energy. It's like the ship becomes stronger when it's attacked. Sam nodded and activated his communication device to contact Dr. Elena Rodriguez at the Quantum Research Division. Elena had been the scientist who first proposed building one ultimate ship instead of a traditional fleet. Her theories about quantum shields and dimensional manipulation had made the Leviathan possible. Elena, Amy says we're ready for the final test, Sam said into his device. Are your quantum shield systems online? Elena's voice came through clearly from the ship's interior. The quantum shields are functioning beyond our best predictions. The shield generators exist in 7 different dimensions simultaneously, which means conventional weapons can't touch them. Enemy fire would have to hit the same spot in all 7 dimensions at exactly the same time to penetrate the shields. The ship's weapon systems were even more impressive than its defenses. Dr. Kevin Walsh had developed the primary armament, which he called the Singularity Cannon. The weapon could create miniature black holes and launch them at enemy targets. The black holes would consume everything in their path before safely evaporating into energy. The Singularity Cannon is ready for testing, Dr. Walsh reported from the weapon control room. We've run every simulation possible and the results are consistent. A single shot from this weapon could destroy an entire enemy fleet. The secondary plasma lance arrays are also operational and can cut through any known material. Captain Danny Parker had been selected to command the Leviathan despite being only 35 years old. His tactical genius and ability to interface with advanced computer systems had made him the perfect choice for humanity's most important mission. He stood in the ship's command center and reviewed the final preparation reports. "All systems are showing green across the board," reported Lieutenant Commander Rachel Bennett, his first officer. "The crew of 800 is ready for launch. The ship's AI systems are learning our command patterns and will be able to assist with complex tactical decisions." The Leviathan stretched 4 kilometers from nose to tail and was packed with technology that seemed like magic even to its creators. The ship's power requirements were so enormous that 3 fusion reactors had been completely redesigned to provide enough energy. The quantum computer core used materials that existed only in the hearts of neutron stars, forcing humanity to develop new mining techniques in the most dangerous places in the galaxy. Building the ship had required solving problems that had never been faced before. The quantum torpedo launchers could phase their ammunition through enemy shields, making conventional defenses useless. The ship's sensors could detect enemy vessels from light years away and track thousands of targets simultaneously. General Marcus Bell arrived at Luna Station for the final inspection. He had been the strongest supporter of the Leviathan project from the beginning, arguing that humanity needed to show the galaxy that they could not be bullied into submission. His presence meant that Earth's military leadership was satisfied with the ship's capabilities. "Captain Parker, this vessel represents everything that humanity can achieve when we work together," General Bell said as he toured the ship's bridge. "The aliens think they can intimidate us with superior technology, but they underestimate human determination and ingenuity." The ship's medical bay was equipped with technology that could heal injuries that would have been fatal just years earlier. The crew quarters were designed to keep the 800 personnel comfortable during long missions in deep space. Every system on the ship was built to be better than anything the galaxy had ever seen, intelligence reports from across the galaxy suggested that several alien species had formed a coalition to prevent the Leviathan's launch. Spy networks reported unusual military movements and secret meetings between species that had never worked together before. The galaxy was preparing for war, but they didn't know what humanity was preparing for them. Dr. Rodriguez made the final announcement that everyone had been waiting for. "All systems are operational and ready for launch. The Leviathan is complete and ready to defend humanity." The ship that hung in Luna Station's construction bay was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of what humans could accomplish when they refused to give up. The galaxy had demanded humanity's submission, but instead they would face humanity's greatest creation. Captain Danny Parker stood on the bridge of the Leviathan and felt the immense power of the ship humming beneath his feet. The vessel had been operational for only 2 weeks, but already it felt like home to him and his crew of 800. They were currently on what the official records called a routine patrol mission to the Outer Rim, but everyone aboard knew they were really testing humanity's ultimate weapon. The ship moved through space with a grace that seemed impossible for something so massive. 4 kilometers of advanced technology and devastating firepower traveled silently between the stars, waiting for the moment when it would prove itself. The crew had trained for months to operate the ship's complex systems, but none of them had ever fired the weapons in actual combat. Commander Tony Brooks monitored the tactical displays from his position at the weapons control station. The ship's sensors could detect enemy vessels from incredible distances, and right now they were showing nothing but empty space. The Outer Rim territories were usually peaceful, which made them perfect for testing the ship's capabilities without attracting unwanted attention. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from Minerva 7, reported Lieutenant Julie Adams from the navigation station. "It's a human colony with about 50,000 residents. They're under attack by unknown forces." Danny felt his heart rate increase as he realized this would be the Leviathan's first real test. The ship had been built to defend humanity, and now they had a chance to prove that all their work had been worth it. He activated the ship's communication system and contacted the colony directly. "This is Captain Parker of the UES Leviathan responding to your distress call. What is your situation?" The response came through filled with static and the sounds of explosions in the background. Captain, this is Mayor Linda Collins of Minerva 7. We're under attack by 6 large ships. They're bombing our cities and we have no way to defend ourselves. Please help us. Danny turned to his navigation officer. Julie, set course for Minerva 7 at maximum speed. How long until we arrive? At full quantum drive, we can be there in 20 minutes. Julie replied as she input the coordinates into the ship's navigation system. The Leviathan's engines powered up to full capacity, and the ship disappeared into quantum space. The journey that would have taken days for conventional vessels was completed in minutes thanks to the ship's advanced propulsion systems. When they emerged from quantum space near Minerva 7, the crew immediately saw the devastation. 6 alien cruisers were orbiting the planet and firing energy weapons at the surface. The ships were sleek and dangerous-looking, with the distinctive markings of the Cathari Empire. The Cathari were known throughout the galaxy as raiders who attacked defenseless worlds for resources and slaves. Sir, the attacking ships are Cathari. Heavy cruisers, reported Chief Science Officer Greg Campbell from his sensor station. Each one is about 800 meters long and heavily armed. They're using plasma cannons to bombard the colony's main cities. Danny studied the tactical display and felt anger building in his chest. The Cathari ships were deliberately targeting civilian areas, causing maximum damage to innocent people. This was exactly the kind of situation the Leviathan had been built to handle. Tony, target the lead Cathari vessel with the Singularity Cannon, Danny ordered. Minimum power setting. I want to disable them, not destroy them completely. Commander Brooks activated the ship's primary weapon system. The Singularity Cannon began charging with a deep humming sound that could be felt throughout the entire ship. Energy readings spiked as the weapon prepared to fire its first shot in actual combat. Singularity Cannon ready, Captain, Tony reported, targeting the lead enemy vessel. Fire! Danny commanded, the weapon discharged with a flash of brilliant light that temporarily blinded everyone on the bridge. A miniature black hole launched from the Leviathan's forward section and struck the lead Cathari cruiser. The enemy ship simply vanished in a burst of energy, completely vaporized by the impact. The remaining 5 Cathari ships immediately stopped their bombardment and turned toward the Leviathan. Their weapons began charging as they prepared to engage the new threat. The alien commanders had no idea what they were facing. The enemy ships are targeting us, Tony reported. They're firing plasma cannons and torpedo launchers. Activate quantum shields, Danny ordered. Let's see how well our defenses work. The Cathari weapons struck the Leviathan's shields and simply disappeared. The quantum barriers absorbed the energy attacks without any visible effect. The ship's hull didn't even register the impact of weapons that could have destroyed conventional vessels. Sir, the quantum lance arrays are ready, Tony reported. Should I disable the remaining ships? Do it, Danny replied. The secondary weapon systems fired simultaneously at all 5 remaining Cathari vessels. The plasma lances cut through their hulls like knives through paper, disabling their engines and weapon systems in seconds. The enemy ships were left floating helplessly in space, completely unable to continue their attack. This is Captain Parker of the UES Leviathan, Danny broadcast to the disabled alien vessels. You are defeated, surrender immediately, or face destruction. The response came quickly from the Cathari fleet commander. Human vessel, we surrender. We did not know this world was under your protection. We will withdraw immediately. Danny allowed the surviving alien ships to limp away from the system, but he knew that word of the Leviathan's capabilities would spread throughout the galaxy within hours. The ship had passed its first test with devastating effectiveness. Dr. Patricia Morgan, the ship's xenobiologist, monitored alien communication channels and reported that emergency broadcasts were already being transmitted across multiple star systems. The galaxy was learning that humanity had built something extraordinary. As the Leviathan departed from Minerva 7, Danny realized that everything had changed. The ship's demonstration of power would have consequences that none of them could predict. News of the Leviathan's devastating demonstration against the Cathari raiders spread across the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. Within 72 hours of the battle at Minerva 7, emergency sessions were being called in the capitals of every major alien civilization. The human ship that had effortlessly destroyed an entire raiding fleet was now the most talked-about vessel in galactic history. Ambassador Veltar stood before the Emergency Council of the Galactic Alliance in the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime. Representatives from 47 different species filled the chamber, and every single one of them was discussing the same terrifying topic. The humans had built something that challenged the very foundation of galactic power. The reports from the Cathari survivors are consistent, Veltar announced to the assembled delegates. The human vessel destroyed a heavy cruiser with a single shot and disabled 5 more ships in seconds. The weapon they used appears to create artificial black holes, which violates every treaty regarding dimensional stability. Council leader Thrain of the Andromedans leaned forward in his seat. His species had been the dominant military power in the galaxy for over 1,000 years, and the thought of humans possessing superior technology was deeply disturbing to him. How is this possible? Our intelligence report suggested that humans were decades away from developing such capabilities. They appear to have focused all their resources on building one ultimate weapon instead of a traditional fleet, Veltar replied. Our analysts believe they have sacrificed quantity for quality in a way that no species has ever attempted before. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Helen Davis was facing the most difficult decision of her career. The Global Defense Committee had been meeting continuously since the Leviathan's first battle, and the debates were becoming more heated with each passing hour. The aliens were clearly preparing for war, but humanity had only one ship to defend their entire civilization. General Marcus Bell paced around the conference room as he presented the latest intelligence reports. Our deep space monitoring stations are detecting massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. At least 12 different species are mobilizing their military forces, and they're all heading toward our solar system. Secretary of State Robert Collins studied the tactical displays with growing concern. How many ships are we talking about, General? Conservative estimates put the combined alien fleet at over 200 vessels, Bell replied. They're bringing everything they have. This isn't just a show of force, it's preparation for total war. President Davis activated the quantum communication link to contact Captain Parker aboard the Leviathan. The ship was currently positioned at the edge of the solar system, serving as humanity's first line of defense against the approaching alien armada. Captain, what is your assessment of our situation? President Davis asked when Parker's image appeared on the main screen. Madam President, the Leviathan is powerful, but we've never faced anything like what's coming, Parker replied. Honestly, our sensors are detecting ships from species we've never even heard of before. Some of these vessels are larger than our entire space stations. Aboard the Leviathan, the crew was preparing for what might be the most important battle in human history. Navigation Officer Julie Adams had plotted multiple escape routes in case the ship needed to retreat quickly. The quantum drives were charged and ready to jump to any location in the galaxy within minutes. Weapons. Officer Carl Mitchell ran continuous diagnostics on all the ship's systems. The Singularity Cannon was operating at peak efficiency, and the quantum lance arrays had been recalibrated for maximum effectiveness. The ship's arsenal was ready for war, but nobody knew if it would be enough. Captain, we're detecting the lead elements of the alien fleet, reported Chief Science Officer Greg Campbell. They're approaching the outer edge of the solar system. The flagship appears to be a Zephyrian dreadnought, and it's massive. The alien fleet emerged from quantum space in a coordinated formation that demonstrated centuries of military experience. The ships arranged themselves in a pattern that would allow them to concentrate their firepower while minimizing the Leviathan's ability to engage multiple targets simultaneously. Ambassador Veltar's voice filled the Leviathan's bridge as he transmitted from the flagship. Captain Parker, you are outnumbered 200 to 1. Surrender your vessel immediately, and humanity will be allowed to survive under galactic supervision. Parker looked around at his crew and saw determination in every face. These people had spent years building the most powerful ship in the galaxy, and they weren't going to give up without a fight. "Ambassador, humanity doesn't surrender to threats," Parker replied. "If you want this ship, you'll have to take it." The alien fleet began to spread out into attack formation. Energy readings spiked as hundreds of weapon systems powered up simultaneously. The space around Earth's solar system became filled with hostile vessels that could reduce planets to ash. "Sir, they're targeting us with everything they have," Carl reported from the weapons station. "I'm reading energy signatures from weapons we've never seen before." Parker activated the ship's quantum shields and powered up the singularity cannon. The display of energy was so intense that it created visible distortions in spacetime. The aliens had brought their most powerful fleet, but they were about to discover what humanity's greatest weapon could really do. "All hands battle stations," Parker announced throughout the ship. "This is what we trained for. Show them what humans can accomplish." The first shots of the battle lit up the darkness of space as the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Captain Danny Parker watched from the Leviathan's bridge as 200 alien warships opened fire simultaneously. The combined firepower of 12 different species created a light show that could be seen from Earth's surface, but the human ship's quantum shields absorbed every blast without taking any damage. "Sir, their weapons aren't even scratching our shields," reported Weapons Officer Carl Mitchell. "The quantum barriers are holding at full strength. It's like they're firing at empty space." Parker activated the singularity cannon and targeted the largest alien vessel, a massive Zephyrian dreadnought that was 3 times the size of most ships in the fleet. The weapon discharged with its characteristic flash of brilliant light, and the enemy flagship simply ceased to exist. The miniature black hole consumed the entire vessel in seconds before safely evaporating into harmless energy. The alien fleet's formation began to break apart as commanders realized their most powerful weapons were completely ineffective. Several ships attempted to ram the Leviathan directly, but the quantum shields prevented them from making physical contact. The human vessel existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making conventional attacks impossible. "Captain, the quantum lance arrays are ready," Carl reported. "I can disable their entire fleet in under 5 minutes." "Do it," Parker ordered, "but try not to destroy them completely. We want survivors to report back to their governments." The secondary weapon systems fired in rapid succession, sending plasma beams that cut through alien hulls like they were made of paper. 30 ships were disabled in the first volley, their engines and weapon systems completely destroyed. The remaining vessels tried to retreat, but the Leviathan's advanced sensors could track them across multiple star systems. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. When it was over, 60 alien ships had been destroyed and the rest were floating helplessly in space. The survivors transmitted their surrender immediately, having learned that resistance was futile against humanity's ultimate weapon. Ambassador Veltar's voice filled the bridge once again, but this time it carried a tone of defeat that Parker had never heard before. "Captain Parker, you have won this battle, but you have also doomed your species. The Galactic Council will never allow such a weapon to exist." 3 days later, the Emergency Council of the Galactic Alliance convened the largest gathering in its history. Representatives from every known species in the galaxy attended the session, either in person or through quantum communication links. The topic of discussion was simple: what to do about humanity's superweapon. Council leader Thrain stood at the center of the Great Assembly Hall and addressed the delegates. "The human vessel known as the Leviathan has demonstrated capabilities that threaten the stability of our entire civilization. Its weapons violate 17 different galactic treaties, including the Neutron Star Accords and the Dimensional Stability Pact." The debates that followed were intense and sometimes violent. Some species argued for immediate military action against Earth, while others suggested negotiation and compromise. The younger civilizations were fascinated by human technology and wanted to study it, but the older empires saw it as a threat to their power. "The humans have created something that should not exist," declared Ambassador Kethra of the Stellar Dominion. Their singularity weapons could destabilize entire star systems if used improperly. The very existence of such technology is an act of war against the natural order. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked frantically in her laboratory to understand what was happening to the Leviathan. The ship's quantum systems were evolving on their own, becoming more sophisticated with each use. The artificial intelligence that controlled the vessel's weapons was learning to become more effective in combat. The ship is somehow improving itself, Elena reported to the Global Defense Committee. Every time we use the quantum systems, they become more efficient. The Leviathan is literally growing stronger through experience. President Helen Davis studied the reports with growing concern. The aliens were clearly preparing for something drastic, and Earth's intelligence networks were reporting unusual activity throughout the galaxy. Entire civilizations were mobilizing their resources for what appeared to be a coordinated response. What are our options? President Davis asked General Bell during an emergency meeting. We could use the Leviathan to strike first, Bell replied. The ship is powerful enough to destroy entire fleets before they can coordinate their attacks. We could end this war before it really begins. Secretary of State Robert Collins disagreed strongly. That would make us the aggressors. We would be proving that the aliens are right to fear us. There has to be another way. The Council's decision was announced 72 hours later. Ambassador Veltar delivered the ultimatum personally to prevent any misunderstanding. The alien fleet that had been defeated earlier was replaced by an even larger force, this time including massive construction ships and planet-killing weapons. The Galactic Council has reached a unanimous decision, Veltar announced. Humanity has 30 standard days to completely dismantle the Leviathan and surrender all related technology. Any attempt to build similar vessels will result in the immediate sterilization of Earth and all human colonies. Captain Parker received the ultimatum while the Leviathan patrolled the edge of the solar system. His crew of 800 had become the most famous people in human history, but they were also carrying the weight of their species' survival on their shoulders. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Commander Rachel Bennett. Parker looked out at the stars and thought about the impossible choice he was facing. He could use the Leviathan's power to fight the entire galaxy, potentially winning but dooming humanity to eternal warfare. Alternatively, he could comply with the ban and leave his species vulnerable to future alien aggression. "Assemble the senior staff," Parker ordered. "We need to discuss our options." The fate of humanity now rested in the hands of one ship and its crew while the galaxy waited to see what choice they would make. Captain Danny Parker stood alone in his quarters aboard the Leviathan and stared at the communication device in his hands. The 30-day ultimatum from the Galactic Council had expired yesterday, and now he faced the most difficult decision any human had ever been forced to make. He could destroy the alien fleets and save humanity through violence, or he could find another way that might preserve peace for future generations. The crew had voted unanimously to support whatever choice their captain made. 800 of humanity's best and brightest had placed their trust in him, and he felt the weight of their faith pressing down on his shoulders. The decision he made in the next few minutes would determine whether humanity lived in peace or spent eternity fighting the galaxy. Parker activated the ship's communication system and contacted both Earth and the alien fleet simultaneously. President Helen Davis appeared on one screen while Ambassador Veltar appeared on another. The two leaders who had been arguing for weeks were about to hear humanity's final answer. "I have a proposal that will satisfy both sides," Parker announced. "The Leviathan will not be destroyed, but it will also not be used as a weapon of war. Instead, it will be placed in quantum stasis at a neutral location where it can be monitored by representatives from all major species." Ambassador Veltar's expression showed surprise and confusion. "Captain, that is not acceptable. The Council demanded complete destruction of your vessel and all related technology." "Then the Council will have to accept a compromise," Parker replied calmly. "The Leviathan will be powered down and placed in a quantum stasis field. It will be neither operational nor destroyed. If any species attacks humanity without provocation, the stasis field will automatically deactivate and the ship will defend. Earth, President Davis leaned forward with interest. Captain, what exactly are you proposing? The ship becomes a deterrent instead of a weapon, Parker explained. Its mere existence will prevent aggressive species from attacking human colonies. But it won't be available for offensive operations. The galaxy gets security and humanity gets protection. The negotiations that followed lasted for 6 months. Representatives from every major species traveled to a neutral location at the galaxy's edge where the Leviathan would be stationed. The ship itself became the centerpiece of the most complex treaty in galactic history, with monitoring stations built by dozens of different civilizations. Chief Engineer Amy Foster supervised the installation of the quantum stasis field generators. The technology was based on her original designs but modified to allow for emergency reactivation if humanity was threatened. The system was so complex that it required constant monitoring by scientists from multiple species. The stasis field will keep the ship in a state of suspended animation, Amy explained to the assembled delegates. All systems will remain intact but inactive. The ship will be like a sleeping giant that can wake up if needed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez continued her research but focused on peaceful applications of quantum technology. Her work led to breakthroughs in faster-than-light communication and medical equipment that could heal previously fatal injuries. The same science that had created the galaxy's most powerful weapon now served to improve life for all species. The quantum principles we developed for the Leviathan have applications far beyond warfare, Elena reported to the Global Science Council. We're using them to develop terraforming technology that could make dead worlds habitable in decades, instead of centuries. Captain Parker retired from active duty but remained as Earth's first galactic ambassador. His understanding of alien psychology and his reputation as the man who had held the galaxy in check made him the perfect choice for diplomatic negotiations. He spent his remaining years building bridges between species that had been enemies. For centuries, the Leviathan became known throughout the galaxy as the sleeping giant. Space travelers would detour to the neutral zone just to see the massive ship floating motionless in its stasis field. The vessel that had once terrified entire civilizations now served as a symbol of peace through strength. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Bennett took command of humanity's new exploration fleet. The ships were designed for scientific research and peaceful contact with new species, but they carried quantum communication devices that could contact the Leviathan instantly if needed. The galaxy learned that humanity preferred cooperation to conflict. Years passed, and the legend of the Leviathan grew with each telling. New species that joined the galactic community were told the story of how humans had built a ship so powerful that it changed the balance of power forever. The tale became a reminder that even the smallest species could achieve greatness through determination and ingenuity. The quantum stasis field required maintenance every few years, bringing together the galaxy's best scientists to work on the project. These gatherings became opportunities for collaboration on other scientific endeavors, leading to advances in medicine, engineering, and space exploration that benefited everyone. The ship's crew became celebrities throughout the galaxy, their names remembered as the humans who had briefly held the entire galactic community in check. Museums displayed models of the Leviathan, and children of dozens of species learned about the ship that was too powerful to use but too important to destroy. The Galactic Council eventually passed the Leviathan Accords, which established the legal framework for similar deterrent weapons. The Accord specified that no species could build vessels comparable to the Leviathan without unanimous approval from the galactic community. The ban became the foundation of interstellar law. In the end, humanity had achieved something remarkable. They had forced the galaxy to respect them not through conquest or submission, but through the demonstration of their potential. The Leviathan remained in its stasis field, a guardian of human freedom and a symbol of what could be accomplished when an entire species worked together toward a common goal. The sleeping giant continued to watch over humanity, ensuring that They would never again be threatened by those who might mistake their preference for peace as a sign of weakness.